Clearly, we have a lot to say on this lessons you learned from your ex.
Yeah.
Because yes, we spoke about the negative parts, the negative lessons. Yeah. So now let's move to the positives, because it can't all have been bad. There were some good things.
Yeah.
So
maybe if I remember any negative, I'll say it.
No, this is just for the good.
Oh, man.
Hello, there's no negativity allowed in this episode.
But that's the thing.
Right?
Sometimes you have selective memory. When I said that,
put it in your IG comments.
Oh man, just in case I remember.
So my name is still Kel. Last I checked.
We thank God, but we want the surname to change. Cheers. My name is Ife.
Yes, wanna marry?
Absolutely. All right.
Okay, so let me know. So one positive lesson that you learned from your ex/experience.
Communicate. The way I grew up, the way I'm wired, based on my upbringing or based on my experiences, was handle it by yourself. I go in my room, I sit with myself, I pray, I talk to God, I cry it out, I come out, and I move on. And so getting someone else into my life and having to open up to that person is something that is sort of like a new terrain, or was a new terrain for me. And the way it was if we had issues, I will just withdraw, become somewhat like reticent, withdraw into my cocoon, and that is it. And he just always was just like, listen, I can't, like, you need to like tell me what's going on, let's talk about it, let's argue. I just did not like to argue. Like, that's the thing. I don't like to fight. I don't like negativity. I don't do well in negativity. Like that friction, I don't do well in it. So I'll just rather,
you're not a confrontational person.
I'm not. I'll just rather, take out time and just like figure it out in my mind. But that's the thing, you don't have the luxury to do that when you're in a relationship. And so that's something that I did learn, communicate. If you need to say it as it is, say it as it is. It's always better so that you both know what really is going on. You're able to walk through it, and then so that's something I did learn, and I'm glad I did.
Let me see. I learned if he wants to, he will.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, because I've been with some people that it's like a struggle to get them to do like the most basic things, and then there are others who you haven't defined whatever relationship it is that you have, but they're showing you what a person should do if they care about you. And so I feel like we should stop making excuses for people like, maybe you need to tell them, maybe you need to show them, even though still I try to just believe everybody's different. Let me try and tell you or show you how to behave. But I've experienced other people who just know what to do and they just behave accordingly.
I love it.
And I'm talking about, you're speaking to somebody, like you have an issue, before you even finish talking, they're trying to help you sort it out. Or you're speaking to somebody and you're just feeling down in the dumps, and they just show up just to hold you, so you're not even asking for anything, just asking to know and to feel comforted that there's somebody in your corner. There's somebody who I liked, and we were having like a talking phase type thing. We never really blossomed into a relationship. And then somebody asked me, said, why did you like this person? I said, because he communicated. Wakes up in the morning, he'd go to work early, like he used to wake up earlier than me. I wake up to a good morning text always. Gotten to the office, I'm at the office. Middle of the day, any random idea he has is calling me to bounce it off of me. Any issue or any whatever. Like, what I'm asking for is not rocket science.
Of
because
course.
If you care about somebody, they should be on your mind.
No, Kel.
So it shouldn't be like an obligation or something like, okay, I have to. No, it's like, I want to connect with this person because
I love that.
I like them and they're just on my mind.
One other thing that I did learn, especially from people who I had a talking phase with, is listen. Generosity. You see, our corrupt politicians, they're generous, When people go to them, sir, I came to greet you, they give you thanks for coming. Yeah. That does not mean that they're kind.
Nope.
So the fact that someone is, treating you, quote unquote, like a queen, especially when it comes to material things, they're giving you all the things that you could possibly ever want or wish, it does not mean that is your man, girl. Okay? So you just always have to be able to separate it. And that's the reason why if I'm getting into a relationship, or if I see someone, because the truth is that it's very easy for you to get carried away by that. I won't even lie, because the person shows you, I care about you, or I've heard the things that you told me just in passing, and then I bought something that obviously showed that I was listening. Anytime, and I said to God, before I get into a relationship now, I must inquire of you, and you must tell me to go ahead.
Let me see, what other good lesson did I learn? If it's important to you, they'll take an effort. Like they'll make an effort in being involved in that thing.
Absolutely.
You know, so they'll ask questions, they don't understand it, they will root for you, and you just be wondering, oh, I'm so excited. You know, you don't even know anything about this business that I'm in. So if a person cares about you, what's important to you, they take it to heart.
I love that, Kel, because this now reminded me of something, you know, in the past. It just reminded me of, if they do love you and care about you, they will protect you. They will protect you, especially when there might be
triggered.
Issues.
I'm triggered.
Concerning their
ex.
You know, it protects you.
Not protect me.
They will protect you. Oh, they will. There's something that happened in one of my relationships, and I mean, it was family related. I expected differently. Like I mentioned, I'm not a cantankerous person. I do not like war, conflict, any of that. I would rather, you know, suck it up and, you know, die in silence just so that we can be at peace, especially when it regards your family, because I feel like your family is a very pivotal part. I don't, you know, really subscribe to conversations about, oh, you know, if the family does not like you, like, that's a very important part, because, you know, his family is responsible for nurturing him into the man that you like.
Yeah.
So I don't think you should disregard or discard. Do you get what I mean? So it's very important to me. So, but I believe that, you know, as a man, as a guy, you should be able to draw that hard line.
It's important.
You draw that hard line, especially if this is a woman that you're taking seriously. Because the truth is, in as much as, you know, yes, I respect people's families, but there are people's families that are not nice.
Hey, yeah.
There's some people that are just evil.
Let me just enter a family that loves me. A friend of mine told me, said that was one of her major prayer points, and it came true to her, that she was like, let me just marry into a family that loves me, because she doesn't want to deal with family drama at all. A friend of mine too, the family was trying to give them stress, but her husband put his foot down and said, hello, this is the woman that I want to be with. Today, the family loves coming to her house.
I love that so much.
Because the reasons that they were against them were just superficial reasons. But when they got to know her as a person, it's like, she's a good person.
Absolutely.
So a lot of people come up with this, oh, she's from here, he's from there, and they're from a broken home. I want into a team, and the family did this, the mother did this. Meanwhile, it's just hearsay. They don't know nothing. So when you want to be with somebody, get to know them for themselves. And if your family starts to object, ask your family why.
Why? And
the reasons that they list, it has to be solid.
Absolutely.
It can't be anything just random or so. Oh, they are from so and so tribe, and they say people from their tribe do. Okay, that's nice, but she's an individual.
But you know, Kel, and I think we should probably dedicate an episode to that. You know, speaking about culture, because that's a very pivotal part of everybody's
life. Whether it harms
life.
or helps.
Do you get what I mean? Because the Igbos, right, and something that I'll make reference to. You know, we have the Osus.
I never understood that thing.
We will talk about it on another episode. We need to discuss it, because even in this day and age, no matter how woke and how experienced we are as well, because you're still attached to your family, they play a very important role in, you know, giving you a blessing. And I'm very, very particular about, you know, the blessing of your father and your mother when you're leaving. It's very important. It's very spiritual. There's a spiritual rooting.
Yeah, however, but then if one parents, they act like, say...
That's not the thing. You
monkey, they beat for their head.
Listen.
Bro. Like I'm old enough to understand that, in as much as some things are important, there are people who just, unfortunately, everybody's human. People are open to being flawed, open to being imperfect, open to being foolish. I remember there was a pastor I had that said, no, seriously, there's a pastor I had that said, when you're dealing with man, and that's mankind, give space for their foolishness, because everybody has that capacity to be foolish. I have the capacity to be foolish in different situations. You do too. You know, so you have to understand that everybody was raised differently, and people will have times or moments, or maybe it's just a part of their lives, but you cannot hold yourself to ransom because your father or your mother, who has kind of shown that they really don't love you like that, because some parents don't love their children, and then you say, no, I must get my parents' blessing, but meanwhile this parent has shown you most of your life that they don't care about you. So why is that blessing important to you?
So that's and you know how the Bible also does say wisdom is profitable to direct, you know, the way you handle it is actually very important as well. Now, there are outlier situations, because, you know, what my father did teach me was, when you're trying to take a holistic, you know, look at something, you divide it into majority, minority. You do not use the minority to describe the whole. So there are people who, yes, have had situations where your parents don't love you. You need to question if, if these are really your parents. Do you get what I mean? Now, the majority of the times, your parents do love you. It might be different languages based on the climate and the environment that we've grown up in. Here in Nigeria, your parents will probably show you I love you based on the sacrifices. They may not tell you I love you, but best believe is that they would go above and beyond to make sure that they help you out.
So that's not even what I'm talking about. There are people who just... any and everything you want to do, you say. They just find reasons to fight with you. They talk down on you. I think that's the worst thing a parent can do to a child, to speak down on that child. Because then how do you grow up in confidence if all you've ever heard all your life is that you're never enough? But we're moving conversations.
I know, there's just so much.
This is so much we're going to touch on. This is
my days. I'm thinking, I have topics that I've just
do you have one final good lesson that you learned from your ex/experience?
Give grace. Give grace. Grace is very important because you made mention with, you give space for mistakes, because there's a saying that goes, man at its best is still man. Do you get what I mean? So give grace. It's something that I didn't really do, because I was one person who would say, this is my deal breaker, and I move on. And I just didn't know. I didn't have the emotional maturity to make a better decision. And I don't, feel bad for it, because I was much younger. Do you get what I mean? But give grace, give it just a little bit of grace and hear them out and be kind, really.
I would say, and this I learned from experience and from a friend of mine, be blameless. Make sure that when or if you have to walk away, you are totally blameless. So even if you guys are going through issues, you have to be the one to apologize. You have to be the one to explain. Just apologize. Put yourself out there like a mumu, quote unquote. So that if it comes to the point where you have to break up the relationship and you have to walk away, you know that nothing is bringing you back there. Because then if you don't do all you're meant to do, all you're supposed to do, you might still be thinking, maybe I should just, but then maybe I should just will not take you back to a worse situation. So it's very important that in whatever you do, ensure that you are blameless. So when and if you do walk away, you know that nothing is taking you back to that situation.
I think that we should have a conversation about if closure is a myth, because that just means
yes, definitely.
Is closure a myth?
Definitely.
That's probably
the
next topic.
There's so much to talk about. All right, so we're done today. My wine almost finished.
Now, wow.
I wrap up the show.
Wow. All right, guys. That's what we learned from our exes, both good and bad.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's life.
But it does not mean that relationships are not good. They're beautiful. Just pray to Father in heaven.
Love is sweet, though.
But when money enter, love is sweet. My lyrics failed me.
All right, guys, we gotta go because this wine is getting into the system.
Wow, really?
Lie down.
I thought this was non-alcoholic.
I'm sorry, say what now? If you ever give me non-alcoholic wine in your life, just know that you hate me. And we will cease to be friends that day. Because why are we drinking wine if there's no alcohol inside? Why is it wine?
It's because it's sweet.
I'm gonna drink a juice. Hello, my name is Kel.
And my name is Iffy.
And this has been a Sip and
Time.